Hello friends, today we will be doing the chapter Indigo by Louis Fisher. Louis Fisher was born in Philadelphia on 29 February 1896. Fisher was an American journalist, and this chapter Indigo is an excerpt from the book A Life of Mahatma Gandhi, and this book was the basis for the Academy Award-winning film Gandhi in the year 1982, as well as A Life of Lenin. This story is based on the interview taken by Louis Fisher of Mahatma Gandhi. In order to write on him, he had visited Gandhi in the year 1942 at Sevagram Ashram, where he was told about the Indigo movement started by Gandhiji. This story revolves around the struggle of Gandhi and other leaders in order to safeguard sharecroppers from the atrocities of the British landlords. The story begins when the author explains about his first meeting with Mahatma Gandhi. He says that he first met Gandhi in 1942 at his Sevagram ashram. It was there when Gandhi told him about his struggle against the British, which took place in the year 1917. He said that it was the month of December in the year 1960, and Gandhi went to attend the annual meeting of the Indian National Congress at Lucknow. There were altogether 2,301 representatives and visitors. And Gandhi recalled that a small farmer named Rajkumar Shukla came to him, who was poor and emaciated, meaning he was very thin and lean. He requested Gandhi to visit Champaran, a place in the foothills of the Himalayas near the kingdom of Nepal. He further told Gandhi that Champaran peasants were sharecroppers and Rajkumar Shukla was one of them. Rajkumar Shukla was illiterate but resolute. He was determined to have a word with Gandhi about his problem which the sharecroppers were undergoing, and he wanted him to accompany Shukla to the place called Champaran so that some justice could be done to the sharecroppers. Gandhi told Shukla that he had an appointment in Kanpur and he was committed to go to the other parts of India. Now it was here that Shukla accompanied him everywhere. And when Gandhi returned to his ashram near Ahmedabad, Shukla followed him to the ashram. For weeks he was chasing Gandhi, and he asked him ultimately to fix a date to visit the place called Champaran. Now it was here that Gandhi said that he was impressed with the tenacity of this poor farmer. Tenacity means strong determination. He was so adamant to have Gandhi to his place that ultimately Gandhiji was forced to tell him that he would be visiting Calcutta after 3 months. Shukla waited for that time to come, and when one particular day Gandhiji reached Kolkata, he was there to receive him. It was from here Rajkumar Shukla accompanied Gandhi to Patna. They went to Dr. Rajendra Prasad's home, who was a lawyer in Bihar. And it was same Rajendra Prasad who ultimately became the president of India. When they reached there, they came to know that Rajendra Prasad was out of town. But the servants knew Shukla as a poor farmer who always insisted their master to help the indigo sharecroppers. So they let him stay on the ground with his companion Gandhi, whom they took to be another peasant. Actually, the servants could not recognize Gandhi and they thought him to be another poor farmer, and both were made to sleep on the floor. Now, in the morning, Gandhiji was not permitted to draw water from the well. Might be that he is some untouchable and the water would be polluted. So the servants did not allow for this. Gandhiji decided to go to Muzaffarpur first to have a more detailed information about the problem of the sharecroppers. So he sent a telegram to Professor J.B. Kriplani of the Arts College in Muzaffarpur, and he came along with a large body of students to receive him at midnight. Gandhiji stayed there for 2 days in the home of Professor Malkani, who was a teacher in a government school. Now Gandhiji recalls that it was an ordinary thing in those days for a government professor to harbor a man like him. In other words, the professor, being a government employee, could not allow an advocate to reside at his place in the British rule. But the risk was taken and this thing was very extraordinary. Now when Gandhi stayed there, the news of his arrival, it spread there fast, and ultimately sharecroppers from far off distances, they started arriving on foot and started telling him about the problem. Gandhiji was briefed by the problem of the peasants and he realized that the issue was very big and it had to be fought for. Now for fighting cases and moving to the court, the lawyers there, they were asking for huge amount of fee, which was very much unaffordable by the poor sharecroppers. Now it was here Gandhiji chided the lawyers. He rebuked them for charging such a high fee from the poor peasants. Gandhiji decided that it was useless to go to the courts, and as going to the judiciary would be a wastage of time and the case would lie pending in the court for years to come, and it would actually do no good to the poor farmers. And he was told that most of the cultivable land was owned by Englishmen and the peasants were the occupants of these lands. These Englishmen forced the farmers to cultivate indigo on 15% of their land and to give the crop as such to them as rent. And this all was being done through a long-term agreement. The landlords, they came to know that synthetic indigo was being prepared in Germany. It was a blue-colored dye made with chemicals, and it was here that the English landlords, they started demanding money from the poor farmers in order to cancel their agreements, as they no longer required the indigo plantations. And this thing was very annoying for the poor farmers as they lacked the money to give it to their landlords. Now Gandhiji, he arrived at Champaran and he decided to gather more information about the facts of this agreement. So he visited the secretary of the British Landlords Association, who did not answer his questions, telling him that he was an outsider and they were not supposed to leak or give any information to an outsider. Now Gandhiji, he went to the commissioner of the Tirhut division. Champaran, it was under the Tirhut division, and there the commissioner threatened Gandhi and told him to leave Tirhut as soon as possible. But Gandhiji did not leave the place. He then went to Motihari, which was the capital of Champaran, where he was joined by several lawyers. Now they reached the station and they were welcomed by a large crowd. He then went to a house which was later converted into his headquarters. He started inquiring into the matter. Later one day, he decided to visit a nearby village when he came to know about an incident of ill treatment with a farmer. When he was on his way on an elephant, a superintendent of the police, he stopped him and ordered him to return back to the town. The messenger handed over a written note and Gandhiji signed that receipt by writing on that piece of paper that he would disobey the order. The consequence of this thing was he received a summon to appear in the court next day. Gandhiji did not sleep the whole night. Instead, he telegrammed Rajendra Prasad to come along with some influential people to Bihar. He also sent a telegram to the ashram and telegraphed the whole matter to the viceroy. Next morning, Motihari was full of peasants before the court had started. Those poor, simple-hearted peasants did not know even the fact that Gandhiji was in South Africa and had already fought for the welfare of the Indians there. They only knew one thing, that there was a Mahatma who wanted to help them and was in trouble due to the British officials. In thousands of numbers they gathered in front of the courthouse, and it was here the British officials, they had to take help from Gandhi to control the crowd, and they were not able to manage the large number of emerging peasants from far off places. So the authorities decided to first consult the higher authorities. Gandhiji protested against this delay. Now Gandhi read a statement in front of the court in which he accepted his guilt. He said that he was not a lawbreaker, neither he wanted to go against the law, but his duty towards humanity had a greater influence of him and which forced him to do so. He also refused to leave the place because he wanted to help the sharecroppers as it was his moral duty. Now the magistrate asked Gandhi to arrange for bail because he was going to give his judgment after the 2-hour-long break. Gandhiji refused to seek bail and later on he was released without it because the crowd was getting irksome and the authorities further did not want to lose control of the situation. When the proceedings started again, the judge refused to deliver any judgment for many days. Now Gandhiji was allowed to remain free. Some well-known lawyers, they came forward to advise Gandhi, and Gandhiji asked them what would be their course of action if he was sentenced to jail. One of the senior lawyers replied that they were there to help him out, and if he was sentenced to jail, then they would return back. Now Gandhiji rebuked them all that what would happen to the lawyers if their farmers were suffering at the behest of the British landlords. The lawyers discussed the matter amongst themselves and they came forward with a promise that they would fight back. They would stand for their support of the peasants, because when they talked about themselves, they came to a conclusion that if Gandhiji was ready to even go to jail for the benefit of the peasants of Bihar, being a stranger, then why couldn't they fight cases for their own poor peasants? This thing raised a moral question in them, and they promised Gandhi that they are going to be by his side. Now it was here that Gandhiji says that the battle of Champaran is won. The minute he came to know that he was having the support of the lawyers from Bihar, he was very proud to have that team of lawyers at the back of him. After a few days, the magistrate sent a letter to Gandhiji in which it was written that as per the orders of the deputy governor, the case against him had been taken back. Now, it was for the first time in modern India that a peaceful protest against the government had won. Gandhiji and other lawyers carried on with an investigation into the injustice with the farmers. Statements of about 10,000 peasants were recorded and proofs were collected. The investigators and the protesting landlords were in conflict with each other. In June, Gandhiji was called up to be present before the Deputy Governor Sir Edward Gate. He met supporters and made plans for civil disobedience in case he did not return. Gandhiji had 4 long interviews with the Deputy Commissioner, which led to the formation of a commission that inquired into the indigo sharecroppers problem. This commission had landlords, government officials and Gandhi, who was the only representative of the poor peasants. Gandhiji remained in Champaran for almost 7 months and also made short visits later on. His visit to Champaran was presumed to be of a few days, but it took him almost a year. The official inquiry, it did not favor the landlords and they were asked to pay back to the peasants. But this time they questioned Gandhi regarding the amount that had to be paid to the poor peasants. The moneylenders had thought that Gandhi would ask for the full payment of the money which they had taken from the peasants. But Gandhiji asked only for 50% of the total amount. The landlords, they offered to pay only 25% as they thought it would be rejected by Gandhi. Gandhiji accepted it by saying that here money was not important. The poor peasants, they had won because they had made the landlords to surrender before the farmers, and it was a winning situation for the poor peasants. It was here that the farmers had won and indigo sharecropping soon came to an end. Gandhiji was not satisfied with the economic and the political situation there. He was even moved to see the cultural and social backwardness of the people of Champaran, and he wanted to do something for them. So he requested teachers like Mahadev Desai and Narhai Parekh and their wives to teach the villagers. They volunteered to support Gandhi. In this, Gandhiji's wife and his youngest son Devadas arrived from the ashram to help the people. Primary schools were opened in 6 villages where Kasturba Bai used to teach the ashram rules on cleanliness and community sanitation. To improve the health conditions of the people, 3 medicines, castor oil, quinine and sulfur ointment which were available there, they were given. A patient with a coated tongue was given castor oil, a malaria patient was served a dose of quinine, and a patient with skin disorder was given an ointment along with castor oil. The women of the area used to wear dirty clothes. When Gandhiji tried to know the reason through his wife, he was told that those were the only saris each of the women had. In fact, one day a woman took Gandhiji's wife to her home and showed that they had nothing to store their things and just a pair of clothes to wear. So this is how Gandhi kept a long distance watch on the ashram. He sent regular instructions by post and asked for financial accounts. The Champaran episode proved to be a turning point in Gandhi's life. He explained whatever he did was an ordinary thing, and he declared that the British could not order him about in his own country. Champaran was an attempt to free the poor peasants from the exploitations at the behest of the British landlords. And it didn't begin as an act of defiance. And this is what was typical Gandhian pattern. In all the things that Gandhi did, he tried to mold a new free Indian who could stand on his own feet and thus make India free. He recalls Charles Andrews, an English pacifist who had become a devoted follower of his preachings, came to bid him goodbye. Gandhiji's loyal friends wanted Andrew to accompany them after he was gone, but Gandhiji strongly opposed that suggestion. According to him, asking for Andrew's help was showing the weakness of their hearts. He assured them the cause was just and they must rely upon themselves to win the battle. Gandhiji, in this way, taught them a lesson in self-reliance. Self-reliance, Indian independence, and this was the pace to further their growth to free India from the hands of the British clutches. So this is where the chapter ends when Gandhiji had set the poor peasants free from the clutches of the British landlords, thus winning the civil disobedience movement without any bloodshed or heated arguments. He was on his way further to win the Indian struggle for freedom. So here we end with the chapter Indigo. And dear students, if there is any doubt, any query, just feel free to contact anytime so that more and more clarity can be had about the chapter and other concepts. Thank you.